We join with other UUs in the tradition of inviting the gong 3 times, once in remembrance of those who have lived, built, and nurtured this congregation before us, once in appreciation to all of us calling this home today, and once with anticipation and hope for those who will be part of this congregation in the future. Good morning. It's Sunday, April 5th, 2026. My name's Kathy Mitchell, and I'm your service leader for today. We want to welcome everyone joining us online and in person to the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist congregation. Here you can be yourself, but not by yourself. Whomever you love, however you describe yourself or name the holy, you are welcome here. We especially welcome those of you who are visiting for the first time and those recently new to us and returning again. We're so glad you're here with us today. If there's anyone visiting for the first time or returning after a while, we'd love for you to introduce yourself, although you don't have to if you don't want to. Everyone, please stay for coffee, tea, and conversation after the service so we can all get to know one another better. We begin our service with the acknowledgement that our congregation rests on the unceded lands of indigenous people, including the Cow Creek Band of the Umpqua tribe. Their name graces our congregation and the river that flows through this land. We make this land acknowledgement in recognition of the Cow Creek Umpqua, the Yoncalla Puya, the Southern Molalla, and other tribes that were forcibly displaced, yet who continue to live, lead, create, and belong here. May this acknowledgement move us toward repair, relationship, and right action. As Unitarian Universalists, we are diverse in faith. We think for ourselves and honor how life experience shapes our personal beliefs. Unitarian Universalism is its own faith tradition. We come from radical roots and a long history of people who sought a faith grounded in freedom, reason, and love. We are united, not because we all believe the same thing, but because we share a commitment to seek truth, practice compassion, and build a more just and loving world. Our practices differ, our languages for the holy differ, but the tradition we share is real, a faith shaped by history, covenant, by conscience, and by community. And now we have a few announcements.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Boy, I tell you what, y'all have to be so incredibly proud of people in this congregation that showed up yesterday to take a big step in completing the cleaning and organizing of our basement. We are this close to having the basement cleaned up and ready to move forward to the next step. And the people that showed up, I tell you what, you couldn't look for busier, harder working people than we had yesterday and the 2 weeks previous. A lot of work has been done, but I'm gonna tell you, the kitchen. We had a lot of dishes down there, because we used to be a certified green community. That, because of a lot of reasons, we moved away from that, and we've been using paper plates and paper napkins and cups, but we would love to go back and work our way back to being green. Well, that means we have boxes and boxes of cups and glasses and silverware and plates that have been sitting around down there with all the basement dust that the contractors have been creating, and all of those have to be washed. Well, the dishwasher, it's new, thankful, We're very gracious to our contractor who donated it, but it's slow. These new dishwashers, they seem to take forever. So the dishwasher's running, and then I go in there, and Judy and Ted and Ruth and some of the others were in there knee-deep. Tammy was up in the cupboards covering down. People were in there washing and cleaning as fast as they could, but when you have enough dishes to feed 70 people probably, there's a lot of dishes to wash. So if anyone would just love an opportunity to come help us finish washing dishes, drying them if they're hand washed, putting them away and organizing our kitchen, please, please, anytime you want, contact me. If it's the middle of the week, I'll meet you here and we'll get that kitchen finished up. So please see me after service, and if we don't have to, we won't have to call another cleaning day if we get that kitchen finished. So please consider helping me out. Thank you.
Thank you. Jake.
Hello, everybody. I am Jake, your media director. I just want to let you all know that starting next week, we are going to be shifting away from streaming our Sunday services and creating more of a in-Zoom interactive approach. We want people to be able to be more interactive in our services and sit in and actually participate. We will still be recording our services and posting them after the fact. We just want to be mindful of the privacy of those who may or may not want their joys and concerns shared, things like that. So we have more control by just recording it and then posting it after the fact. So you'll find the Zoom link in your Quest.
Thanks, Jake. Any other announcements? Okay, good job. Much appreciation goes to our staff, our greeters, Tammy and Teresa, our church administrator, Genevieve Gonzalez, and Jake Tranter on media. In our community today, there are many children and adults housed and unhoused, facing illness, hunger, and without shelter. Acting in compassion for those in need, our service to the larger community is to collect your donations of food and money for the Fish Food Pantry. Our church offering will be later in the service. Your contributions are greatly appreciated and will definitely be put to good use in our community.
Good morning. Oh, what's going on? Oh, oh no.
There is Scotch tape. It's just not working very well. I think we're going to be decorative like this. We'll try not to catch the floor on fire.
We'll improvise. We'll make it work. So good morning to everyone joining us in person. Good morning to those of us joining online. I'm Pastor Eli Poore, and it's my privilege to serve as your minister this year. We light our chalice this morning, symbol of Unitarian Universalism, with the following words. We light this chalice not as a sign that everything is clear, but as a reminder that we don't need clarity to begin. This flame does not resolve what's uncertain, it does not answer every question, but it does mark this space as a place where we gather as we are, breathing, wondering, becoming. Let this light be a companion to whatever we carry today and witness to what is still quietly unfolding among us. So I have an update that I want to share with you all this morning. I was not originally scheduled to be in the pulpit today, but because it's Easter and because I wanted to be here in person to deliver this announcement, here I am, and here we all are. So recently I received clarification from the Unitarian Universalist Association's Ministerial Fellowship Committee regarding a restriction connected to my current status as a minister in candidacy. And this guidance, something none of us were previously aware of, and which was only confirmed in a conversation a couple of weeks ago, means that I will not be able to continue in this role as your minister next year. Yes. Unfortunately, the decision's been made and it's out of my hands. I want to say clearly it's not a reflection of my work. It's not a reflection of this congregation. It's the result of just some denominational guidelines connected to my current stage in the credentialing process. So I know this is unexpected news, and I know that there may be a range of feelings in the room right now: surprise and disappointment, confusion, grief, frustration are things that are harder to name, and I feel that too. Like I said, this wasn't something that any of us anticipated, and when something shifts like this, it can feel disorienting. It can take time for it to settle and for it to make sense in our bodies and minds. And so I want to say this as clearly as I can. It's been a gift to serve in this community, to get to know you. We still have time together in the months ahead. And I'm grateful for your care, for your honesty, your resilience, and your heart, and the ways that you continue to show up for one another. We'll have space during our community conversation later in the service to begin engaging with this a little more directly, to answer any questions that you might have, share any thoughts that you might have, or process any feelings. And then after the service today, I'll stay here for a little while for anybody who would like to talk, to ask questions, or just be together for a little bit longer today. But for now, I want to invite us not to rush past this moment, not to move too quickly to understanding or solutions or words. Let's just let this land. Let's notice what's here, and let's be together in it. We don't have to resolve this immediately. So let's take a breath together. Slow one.
Does that mean we have you until at least July 1st?
Yes, yes. Let's take another breath. I need that too. I just want to invite you to stay present to your body, to your breath, to whatever's moving within you right now. We don't have to fix it. Just be held here in this space, in the heart of this community, which, if it is anything, it is a resilient one. This community's been through change before. It knows something about how to stay with one another, even when the ground shifts, or the basement floods, or ministers come and go. And this is just one moment in your ongoing story. It does not end here. I treasure the relationships we've made and those that we'll continue to nurture in these coming months. So let's remain present to one another. I love you all. So as we continue, let's turn to song. We sing anyway. So please remain seated, stand, sing, simply listen and breathe. as we share in Holly Near's song, I Am Willing. And again, we'll come back to this in community conversations later. Thank you all.
I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. There is a hurting in my family, and there is sorrow in my town. There is a panic all across the nation, and there is wailing the whole world round. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. May the children see more clearly, and may the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though they burn our eyes. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. Give me a mighty yoke to hold my confusion, and give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder, and give me an ocean to hold my tears. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of
Thank you all. Let's recite our affirmation together, printed in your order of service. We come together to renew our spirits, to open our hearts, and to remember our strength we find in community, and to shape a more just and loving world together.
And now we take a moment to hold what we're carrying this day. The joys that have found us, the worries, griefs, and longings that travel with us too. If you'd like to light a candle, you're invited to form a line to the left. Please give your name, and please keep your words brief so everyone has a chance to share in this circle of care.
Good morning. I am shy. Good morning, everyone. Friday the 10th, this Friday, Rose, our dear Rose, is having surgery, and it's going to be a wonderful thing. Her foot is bothering her so badly, and it's going to get fixed, and I just would like for us all to remember her that day and hold her up. Thank you.
My name is Carol. I'm going to light 2 candles. The first one is for Pastor Eli, what you have done for this congregation. The second one is something I saw on Facebook. Our own singer, Lily, is on tour, and she had posted pictures in Ireland and of the group singing, and I tell you, they are to be proud of. So it'll be fun when she gets back home and to tell her how much she has done.
Hey, I'm Christy. I'm the second time here. And I don't really want to share why I'm writing it, but yeah. Thanks.
Good morning, I'm Al. This is Mary. This is Kathy. And I have 2 announcements. One is of joy, so I'm lighting 2 candles. Unfortunately, I don't have 3 hands. Anyway, the first one is the candle of joy. Today is Mary's 83rd birthday. To you, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mary. Happy birthday to you. And imagine this is an $83 check. The check was written, it's home on the draining board. But in our fine tradition, she will be making that donation today. The other announcement is one of sadness. Mary's little sister, Elsie, died on Monday. The good thing about it is she died at home. It was a sudden event. I'm sure it was a massive heart failure. And I think she experienced no pain. So her health was deteriorating rather rapidly. She was just exhausted all the time. So I'm sure she was much happier this way than being in a care facility or a hospital. So the second candle is for Elsie.
I'm Jen McRae. They called me Thursday night and told me about Elsie. And Elsie was a really special friend of mine. I was really gotten pretty close with her and Lori Jo when we hung her show here. It was a marvelous show. I was so privileged to go and help her pick her paintings out to hang here. And she was a wonderful person and very spiritual. She loved Donna Smith, and we tried to get her to come when Donna Smith was preaching. But I'll miss Elsie so much, and Lori Jo will too. Lori Jo used to call her all the time. They'd have these 2-hour talks. So this is for Elsie. This is for Elsie and her long life and her love.
Yeah, hi, I'm Dana, and I'm lighting this candle because I want to acknowledge Gemma and all the wonderful things that she has done for women and men, potentially, she's hung their art in this gallery, and they've never been hung anywhere else before, and Elsie was one of those. And Gemma needs to be remembered for all the great work that she does and who she is in her life. So this is to Gemma.
And I'm going to light a final candle for those who may have kept joys and concerns deep within their hearts.
Please stand as you are able for Spirit of Life.
We're supported by this community's gifts of time, talent, and treasure. Your support is what fuels our congregation's mission and keeps the flame of justice, community, and love burning brightly. If you're a visitor, please be our guest and let the basket pass you by. What is given now is received in appreciation of our shared hopes and values. For the gifts that we have received, may we be truly grateful. May we be committed to using these gifts to make a difference in the world and to expand our beloved community. And now we'll sing our response, Spirit of Life. Oops, from you I receive. How many times do I have to?
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
And now we have a story for all ages, The Invisible String.
We actually have a change to the story. It's actually, and now it's spring. So last minute switch there. Sorry, y'all.
And Then It's Spring by Julie Fogliano, illustrated by Aaron E. Steed. Creatively read and adapted by Miss Jill. First you have brown. All around you have brown. Then there are the seeds. And a wish for rain. Then it rains. And it is still brown, but a hopeful, very possible sort of brown. And is that a little green right there? No, it's just brown, sort of brown. Then it's a week. And you worry about those little seeds. And if maybe it was the birds. Or maybe it was the bears and all that stomping, because bears can't read signs that say things like, "Please do not stomp here. There are seeds, and they're trying." And then it's one more week. And the brown, it's still brown, but it has a greenish hum that you can only hear if you put your ear to the ground and you close your eyes. Do you hear it? And then it's one more week. And a sunny day. That kind of sunny day that happens right after the rainy day. And you walk outside to check on all that brown. But the brown isn't around, and now you have green. All around you have green. And then it's spring. The end. If you want to be notified when I post a new video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's free. Thanks.
All right, friends. Get this adjusted here. I'm a little taller than Kathy. So, I'm going to ring our bowl here for our meditation. And let's just take a moment to settle. You might close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a slow breath in and a longer breath out. Maybe notice your body where it meets the chair, your feet on the ground, the quiet movement of your breath. We just heard a story about waiting, about looking at the ground and seeing only brown, about wondering if anything is happening at all. And maybe We know that place where nothing seems to be changing, where growth isn't visible just yet, where we keep checking and checking, and still nothing we can see yet. So notice just for a moment, where in your life does it feel like that? You don't have to fix it, don't have to understand it. Just let it be there. And then, gently consider the possibility that something may be happening that you cannot yet see. Slowly, quietly, beneath the surface. Take another breath. Let your body soften just a little. And if it feels available, allow a small measure of trust that what is becoming doesn't always announce itself. That not seeing is not the same as nothing happening. Maybe stay with that for just a moment. Take a few breaths, and when you're ready, gently return your attention to the room. And now let's share a song. This is called Where You Go, I Will Go, otherwise known as Ruth's Song. Please remain seated or stand if you'd like, wherever you're comfortable. It says, where you go, I will go.
Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved.
love that song. It's based off of Ruth and Naomi. So, good morning. Hag Pesach Sameach, happy Passover holiday, happy Easter. I'm talking about two traditions today that intersect but are distinct. Starting with Easter, I have a lot of memories from this growing up as a kid. And primarily, Easter meant getting dressed up. Not in a way that felt particularly sacred, but in that charged, anticipatory way that when children experience things that they know are important, even if no one has really fully explained why. There were clothes laid out the night before, clothes that didn't quite feel like me. There were shoes that needed breaking in. There was a sense that I was being prepared for something, even if I didn't know what that something was. And if I'm being honest, there was always a little tension in it too. The pressure to look right, to behave right, to not spill anything on our nice white shirts before we even got out the door. I had the feeling of, this matters, but I'm not entirely sure how or why, and I hope I don't mess it up. And then there was the candy. Chocolate bunnies, always hollow, which as a child felt like a small but deeply personal betrayal. You bite in expecting something substantial, something that will meet you with weight, and instead there's just this thin shell that just kind of collapses, right? And you just kind of stand there like, this feels like false advertising. Somebody should have told me. And I do think that there's something funny and honest about that, because I know I'm not the only one who's ever expected something in life to hold, only to find out it was mostly air. And then there's the Easter candy of Easter candies, loved and loathed in equal measure, Marshmallow Peeps. Bright and strange, unmistakably artificial, and somehow still beloved by many of us, myself included. They're the kind of things where you take a bite and immediately you know it's too much, but you just keep eating it anyway. And then we had the eggs. Plastic, brightly colored and hidden throughout the yard, some obvious, some not, some right in the open that somehow you missed 3 times before finally seeing them, and I loved that. I loved the hunt. Not just the finding, but the way it changed how I saw, the way I had to slow down, the way I had to adjust my attention, the way something could be right in front of me and I wouldn't notice at first. So the discovery was never just about the object, it was about that moment of recognition, that quiet, surprising, oh, there it is. And I'll tell you honestly, no one ever explained to me what any of this had to do with the resurrection of Jesus. Not once. And we know, of course, that it doesn't. Bunnies and eggs were never part of the resurrection story. They come from the much older springtime fertility tradition, symbols of life and reproduction, the earth thawing and greening after winter. And over time, as we know, those symbols were taken up, layered into the Christian calendar, which, if we're honest, is kind of what humans do. We take what we can touch, what we can taste, what we can understand in our bodies, and we try to use it to point towards something bigger, even if it gets a little theologically confusing, even if it leaves us with hollow chocolate bunnies as our primary symbol of resurrection. And I want to say that gently because I don't think that instinct is wrong. I think it tells the truth about us, that we need something that we can hold, we need something that we can taste, we need something that helps us feel that life is still possible. But if we only stay there, if Easter is only sweetness and color and return, we miss something. Because in the same season, there's another story. There's Passover, there's Pesach, and Passover is not soft. It's not decorative, it's not about the general idea that life comes back in spring. It's the story of a people leaving a system that has been harming them. A people enslaved for generations in Egypt, their labor extracted, their lives controlled, their dignity denied, a structure built on their exhaustion, their disposability, and their containment. And there comes a moment in that where leaving becomes necessary, not because everything is ready, but because staying is no longer survivable. And the instructions that they are given are striking. Prepare the meal. Eat quickly. Don't even wait for the bread to rise. Keep your shoes on. Be ready to move. Because when the moment comes, you will not have time to become ready. You'll have to go as you are. And I want to pause there because that alone, I think, is worth sitting with. We don't have to be fully healed to move. We don't have to have everything figured out to take the next step. We don't have to become a different person before leaving something that's harming us or moving into something different. We go as we are. Ready or not, here we come. And so in the story, they do go. The Israelites leave in the night. They're afraid, they're uncertain, unformed for what comes next. And every year this is remembered not as something distant, but as something present. At the Passover table, the instruction is, remember as if you yourself came out of Egypt. Because the story is not just about what happened, it's about what keeps happening. And this is where I think we need to be kind of specific, because leaving isn't the same as liberation. The people leave Egypt, but Egypt does not leave them. They carry it in their bodies, in their instincts, in the way they brace for scarcity, anticipate harm, try to control what feels uncontrollable. And so the story doesn't end with escape. It stretches into the wilderness, into wandering. And the wilderness is where things get complicated and also interesting. Because this is where people get tired. This is where patience wears thin. This is where conflict rises, not because people are bad, but because we're human and under strain sometimes. This is where people start to say things like, at least in Egypt, we knew what to expect, which is one of the most honest and unsettling lines in the whole story. Because sometimes what we long for is not what was good. It was what was familiar. And that matters, because when you're in the wilderness, when things are uncertain, when the ground is shifting, we don't always become our best selves automatically. Sometimes we get reactive. Sometimes we shut down. Sometimes we lash out. Sometimes we withdraw. Sometimes we triangulate with other people, talking about each other instead of to each other. Sometimes we try to recreate control as quickly as possible, even if that costs us relationship. And I want to say this gently and clearly too, that's normal. It's not ideal, but it is human. And so the question is not whether those impulses arise, the question is, what do we do with them? Do we let them define us? Do we let them fracture us? Do we organize ourselves around anxiety, or do we notice them and choose something else? Do we stay in relationship even when it's uncomfortable? Do we speak directly even when it's hard? Do we allow space for complexity, for mixed feelings, for things are not yet resolved? Because this is the wilderness work. And that's where we are in so many spaces, in our personal lives, in our community, and in our world. There's change happening. We've named it, and it's real. But what matters is how we hold one another in it. Because we're not in Egypt, we're not yet in whatever comes next. We're entering the wilderness, and the wilderness is where we find out who we are. Not by what we say, but how we are with one another when things are uncertain. And that's the work. That's always been the work. So if Passover is a story about leaving, then Easter is a story about what happens when what you thought would hold does not hold. And we need to move carefully here because many of us have inherited a version of this idea of resurrection that's kind of thin, maybe a little too thin to sustain us in a moment like this and what we're living through in our world. It's a version that moves a little too quickly from rupture to resolution. It tells us more or less that everything turns out fine in the end, and it might, but there's a middle part there. And resurrection, as it's told, does not begin in triumph. It doesn't begin in clarity. It doesn't begin in a world that has already made sense of what happened. It begins in the dark. So in the Gospel of John, Mary Magdalene comes to the tomb early, before the others, before the sun has fully risen, while the world is still suspended in that fragile in-between where shapes are visible but not clear. And she does not come looking for transformation. She comes carrying bitter herbs and oils, which is to say, she comes carrying love that has already adapted itself to death. She comes prepared to tend to the grief of what is gone. She comes to do what love does when it has nowhere to go. It honors what has been. And when she arrives and the stone has been rolled away, her first thought is not wonder, it's not hope, it's not even confusion, it's distress. It is, they have taken him, which is a profoundly human response when something shifts in a way we don't understand, when the ground moves beneath us, when what we expected to hold no longer does. Our first instinct is to interpret that shift as a loss, as something being removed or taken away from us, even when something else is happening. So in the story, she turns, she sees a man standing there, close enough to speak to her, close enough to ask her why she is weeping. Close enough that in another kind of story, recognition would be immediate, but she does not recognize him. She thinks that he is the gardener. And I want to stay there for a moment because this isn't a throwaway detail. This is not incidental. This is kind of the heart of the story. Resurrection, renewal is standing right in front of her, and she does not know it. Not because she's lacking faith, not because she has failed some moral or spiritual way, but because resurrection doesn't look like what she expects. Resurrection does not return things to their previous form. It does not restore what was in a way that allows her to move forward unchanged. It comes differently. And she doesn't yet know how to see it because she's still oriented toward what she has lost. She's looking for a body. She's looking for something she can locate within the world she understands, something that she can grieve properly, tend to appropriately, and lay to rest. And resurrection doesn't fit inside that framework, so she misses it, which again is not a failure, it's the condition of encountering something genuinely new. And then he speaks her name, Mary. And what happens in that moment is not an explanation, it's not a theological clarification, it's recognition. Something in her shifts, something in her reorients, not because the world has suddenly become clear, but because she is addressed, because she is known, because the relationship she had believed had been severed is somehow, mysteriously and impossibly still alive. And she recognizes him not by sight, but by the way she's called. And this is where the stories come back together. Because resurrection, if we're honest about it, is not separate from liberation or from leaving. It's what liberation feels like from the inside after the leaving has already happened. So Passover tells us that we can leave what's harming us. We can change. We can step out of systems that were never meant to sustain our lives. That we can move even if we aren't ready, even if we don't yet know what we're going to be on the other side. But Passover also refuses to lie to us because it tells us that leaving is not the end of the story. You can leave Egypt and still have Egypt in you. And the wilderness tells us what that feels like. It tells us that liberation is not clean, that it doesn't resolve, it exposes us in many ways. It reveals how quickly fear arises when certainty disappears, how easily we turn toward what is familiar, even when what is familiar has harmed us, and how tempting it is to recreate control rather than remain in relationship, and how quickly we can fracture under pressure, not because we don't care, but because we do, because things matter, because people matter, and because we're trying in real time to navigate something that doesn't yet have a clear shape. And we know this. We know what it's like to be in a moment where something has shifted and not settled, where the old ways no longer hold and the new ways have not yet emerged, where we feel pulled in multiple directions, maybe at once, toward care, toward protection, toward certainty, toward withdrawal. We know what it is to want something solid. But resurrection doesn't offer us that. It comes as encounter. It comes as something that interrupts our expectations, something that stands right in front of us, sometimes unrecognized at first, because it doesn't match what we're looking for. So can we learn to recognize what's emerging in front of us, even when it doesn't look like what we imagined? Sometimes what is emerging in our lives, in our communities, does not look like what we hoped for. Sometimes it doesn't feel like fulfillment. Sometimes it feels like disorientation. And that doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means we may not yet know how to see it. And so the question becomes is not is resurrection or rebirth or change happening, but how do we see it? How can we pay attention? Can we stay present long enough to notice when something begins to shift? Can we allow ourselves to be addressed, to be called by name into something we didn't quite know how to perceive yet? And that's what happens to Mary. She doesn't figure it out. She doesn't reason her way there. She's called. And something in her responds. That's where liberation deepens. It's not just leaving, it's learning to live in a way that was not governed by what was left. It's a work that requires patience and gentleness, and it's slow work. It's communal work. And so if we're in the wilderness, and we are, then the question isn't how do we get out of this as quickly as possible? The question is how do we become a people who can recognize this rebirth, this change, when it appears? How do we stay in relationship with one another long enough and honestly enough to allow something new to emerge among us and to reveal itself? How do we hold one another even when we're not in agreement, even when we're still finding our way? Because that is what makes that rebirth and that resurrection and that change possible. Not certainty, not control, not returning necessarily, but presence, relationship, and a willingness to be engaged. And if we stay, if we allow ourselves to be called and open to the possibility of emergence and community and connection and love and change, there may come a moment, quiet and unannounced, where something in us shifts, where something in us, almost surprised, says, oh, there it is. Not what we expected, maybe, not what we planned, but look, it's here, look at it, it's alive. And that is resurrection, and it's how liberation continues, and not just once, but again and again and again. And so we remain present to this moment, present to one another, present to what is not yet fully known, trusting that it will emerge, and trusting that we do not walk in this alone, and that what is becoming will meet us in its own time. May it be so, beloveds, and may we be the ones who make it so again and again and again. So, go ahead, Kathy, please.
Now is an opportunity for questions, comments, thoughts from all of you.
Hi, I'm Mike. When you were talking, Pastor Eli, about your new clothes, boy, do I have a flashback on that. My brother and I, when we were younger, we would get new clothes to go to Easter church, and it was one of the ones that I remember. We had a shirt that was just about this color of orange, and then we had the brown and checked pants that matched perfectly. And my brother was younger, so my mom was holding on to my older sister's hand, and just as we opened up, Mom had everything just so. Our hair was combed just so, and we looked really super nice. And just as the door opened so we could go into church, my brother looked at Mom, and he had this little gleam in his eye, and he went like this. So yeah. But and talking about consistency and change, being a teacher and having all of these wonderful kiddos in your class and then having a substitute, the kiddos depend on us to be consistent, and it's their stability. And when we're gone, I was gone. I took the next day off after I heard about Aunt Elsie. The kids didn't have any warning. They didn't have any idea what was going on. And talk about being a classroom full of inconsistency, what I heard about the next day. Yeah, so it's important for us to be stable and us to be consistent.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It definitely is. And this is one of the places that we find it, I think, is here in this community. And we create that together. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Since we're talking about children and being dressed up, it's too bad that you're not old enough to remember Easter eggs didn't always be hollow. They used to be solid chocolate.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And I remember the year that my little sister was 3, and she thought the perfect place to store her chocolate extra big Easter egg was in my dad's hat.
No.
On the way home from an all-day outing in the sun.
Oh, no.
I don't think my dad was very happy that Sunday.
I imagine not. I imagine not. Surprise, Dad. Thank you, June. Thank you.
Pastor, I can tell that you are feeling very emotional yourself right now.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'm changing the subject from the sermon a bit, but I think we're all stunned.
Yeah.
And we're all wondering what happened, why. And in your sermon you said, don't worry about fixing it, but I think we all would like to fix it.
Of course we do. We want it fixed right now.
And could you clarify just a bit for us what all of this means?
What happened and what it means.
Yes, please.
I'm happy to. So originally, when we started working on this contract and putting it together, I didn't have any information, leadership didn't have any information about that this could only be for a period of time. We had assistance from the UUA Transitions Office in putting the contract together, which permitted an extension. And so we actually found out by accident. I had reached out back, I think, in early March to ask about an evaluation process for this year. And then just in general, some questions about process to the ministerial credentialing director at the UUA. And so it was then that I found out that there was the possibility that I wouldn't be able to continue. And so I wanted to talk more about this. I talked to originally the Committee on Ministries about it. We strategized. They sent a letter. And in a meeting at about mid-March, just a couple of weeks ago, it was confirmed for me that evidently there used to be a waiver process where like I could go and get a waiver to continue because I'm still a candidate. I'm not in fellowship yet. I'm not ordained. I would have had to go through that process to get that, but that process has changed. And I'm not sure why, not sure when, but basically that's where we're at. And so I was told that this was going to be it. We did talk about, what this means and what this looks like. The search team and the Committee on Ministries has already been very busy putting a plan together. And so, my goal is just to be here and to love you all and to support you all as best I can. I was very stunned by it too. It's not something that I wanted to hear, not something that I expected. And I know the community has been through a lot of transitions, and this, feels like just one more. And a whole string of things, right? So I want to be attentive to that, and I want you all to know that we're not done here. We still have quite a few months together. We're going to plan this well, and this is such a heartful and resilient community. I have faith that you all are going to be okay. You are the church. You are UUUC. Does that answer your question? I'm happy to answer any others or be more specific. But yeah, basically it was a thing that we did not know about. We weren't informed and just found out a couple of weeks ago. And it was definitely a surprise, yeah. So.
Well, whatever.
I kind of feel that way too, JC.
When the time comes that you are the real thing, you have reached that point.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be there to say that that's wonderful.
Thank
and
you.
That anybody else watching should know that it's a wonderful thing.
Thank
because you are a fine minister.
Thank you.
And that's what's really important. And I think I have learned in my 90 years to see when that has happened and turn quietly to the things that are no more and say, you did a good job, rest. And embrace the things that are new and figure out how that feels and how I fit.
Yeah.
And I thank you for the message. I'm sorry what it's meaning, but that's not, it's still going to be of value.
Yeah.
Because it does happen over and over and over. And you learn to let go of the part that isn't continuing.
Yeah. Thank you, JC. Really, that's what we do. And sometimes, we don't have a choice. And this is one of those times. So we move forward as best we can. We keep loving each other. We keep supporting one another. I'm here for you. I love you all. And we've done some great work together. We really have. We really have.
And we'll continue.
And we'll continue.
To do some great work.
Absolutely. This is not the end by any means. Yeah.
A couple comments. I was pretty shocked, and I flipped out a comment about supervising you. It had nothing to do with me, but it had to do with an understanding that I had previously that a neighboring fully ordained minister could supervise even from afar, like Eugene,
Yeah.
a minister in service in a smaller church, not fully ordained. So I'm gathering that's an incorrect ruling now.
Yeah, but that's an option that we did explore. We did look into it, and I was told that that wasn't a possibility. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Unfortunately.
The other thing that I want to say, well, first of all, it's a thank you for bringing us back into community.
Oh, you all
You
did
have
that.
been instrumental in that.
You all did that, really.
No, you have been instrumental in that by coming in as a newbie and making yourself at home and creating us a relationship with you that became more family than anything else. And that reminds me of what I kind of think or feel more so, that the real story of the Jews leaving is really about. Historically, it's always seemed to me that what came out of that long, horrible period was a real sense of Judaism, of what it meant to be a Jew.
Absolutely.
And it became about community, but more about family. It became about values. It became about what really mattered in the world other than what we had or what we thought we lost when we had to leave our houses. And that has carried forth Jewish people clear through today. I say that by asking everyone to forget what's going on in Israel, and that's not representative of the Jewish people, but to remember that Israel itself was truly founded by creating community, kibbutz. And I believe that we as a church have that within us, and that is exactly what we will do.
Yes.
At your departure. We may not let you go quite so simply, but we will survive.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's really, if I could sum up the sermon, that's really it. We get sometimes that sense of community and that sense of connection through going through things together that maybe we would rather not. And through asking questions and wrestling with it and loving each other, right? Yeah. Thank you.
So
Hey, Doug.
I'm Doug Eckstein, and
Hey,
I'm
Doug.
a relatively new member of this church, but I'm ornery. Yeah.
We like that.
Yeah.
We like that.
And so for me, it's like I came to this church as a member after like 20 years of, interviewing y'all, basically. And deciding, I fit here. I want to be there.
Yes.
And I think the same is true for you, Eli. I've seen lots of different ministers come through here. I can get behind you. And it's not just that you're one of the best speakers I've ever heard, truly, because you stay in touch with us, but it's also just you have a way about you where I feel cared about and seen.
Thank you.
I want to fight for that, and so what I need is somebody else, or a couple of somebody else's, that are willing to go find somebody and sit with them and say, what about this and what about that? I've had a lot of experience with bureaucrats, and sometimes it's easy for them to hide behind the rules when they're not actually dealing with people. But we're people. We're not a huge congregation, but we're very affected by this, and we want to find a way. I want to find a way. So if anybody's behind that, talk to me.
Thank you for the support, Doug. And we've wrestled with it. We've asked all of the questions. We've Um, Unfortunately, I think it's a thing that's done. And I can't tell you what to do or what not to do. But yeah, I really appreciate your heart, and that really means a lot to me to hear that. And, you know, the story's not over. The story's not over. Yeah.
So my question, I agree with everything Doug said, obviously, is what's going to happen? I don't understand, because we haven't been coming that long. What's going to happen?
So let me let Jody speak to that a little bit and kind of where we are in that process. Thank you, Jody.
Yes, you bet. As soon as your board of directors knew about this and knew that it was a done deal, some of us rallied Doug and said, this can't be. You know, we just don't want to accept it. And we wrote letters, contacted people, and it just is what it is. They're not willing to budge. It felt like it's a non-negotiable matter. Now, that's not saying if someone wants to try something, we'll get behind it, but it really felt like that was it. But let me tell you something else that's happened. Your ministerial search task force that was elected and approved by your board of directors, when we heard this, we rallied. I want to thank Peggy Madison and Maureen Esser, who are on your ministerial search task force. We began writing quickly because the time was really short. We needed to have an application in, they said by the 1st of April. If you really want to see if there's any ministers out there to come in next year, that you needed to have that ready by the 1st of April. This was what, last week? Yeah. Last week. And it's, you know, we could have just put a few words on there, but that didn't describe us. When we started writing, and you have 3 people that write, and we wrote, and we talked about who we are and what we do and what we stand for. And when that application was finished, I tell you what, I reread it before I submitted it to our regional rep, and I just swelled with pride. Yes. This congregation is so full of so much for so many people. And you know, I'm going to resist. I'm not going to preach another sermon. But when Pastor Eli, I've never heard that much Bible in this church since I've been here. And at first, I'll be honest with you, my first thing I kind of shut down a little bit, because that's the background that hurt me so bad. Yep. And then that's what Pastor Eli started talking about. Going through the pain, and this is painful. But folks, we are wonderful. We are dynamic. We are full of love and grace and beauty. Yes, and this will not stop here. Nope. We're going to have something in our future that's going to be wonderful. And that application is something you can be proud of. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you for all that assisted and helped out. Julianne, she stepped in. She was helpful in giving us resources. So thank you, and people look forward to it. We're going to have something good coming down the line.
Yeah, thank you all so much. They have worked so hard to put this together in such a short amount of time. It's really, thank you all.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
I really appreciate our search committee. You found
Yes.
Pastor Eli.
Yes.
And Pastor Eli, that sermon was mwah. I learned so much, I remembered so much, and thank you for labeling our time wilderness work. Liberation is not clean. Resurrection starts in the dark, and Resurrection is what leaving and liberation feels like. It comes as encounter. What a beautiful sermon, speech, whatever we call it here. And I just had a lot of lights going off in me. And in your next resurrection, maybe you'll be an author. I don't know, but it occurred to me, and we'll be able to buy your books. I don't know.
It's in the works.
Good,
Yeah.
good
It's in the
work.
works.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, we're not done here, friends. We're not. I do want to say that if you have a minister next year, I won't be able to be in touch. I think it's for a year. I will say this, I'm hoping to remain in the area, okay? So, possibly, yeah. There could, if you don't have I hope that you do have a minister. I think that if you want that, then that's a good move. And I don't want your decision to hinge on that, right? But yes, that would be a possibility, yeah.
Pastor Eli, I have one brief question.
Sure.
What is your future going to be? Do you have any idea? You're not going to leave theology.
No, oh no.
Thank goodness.
So my first priority, yeah, this isn't an ending of ministry. Unfortunately, it's an ending here. But so I've been getting on. The one thing that I still have left to do for my process is something called clinical pastoral education. And because of my background, I've had some difficulties with that. And so I had applied for a waiver last year, hoping to get that to be ordained by the time I came here, and it just didn't happen. So that's what's next for me, is focusing on that so that I can get through this fellowship process and be ordained and be done with that piece. I'm hoping to complete my doctoral program within the next year, if I can get my dissertation written. And like I said, I don't have anything concrete yet that I can report, but I'm hoping to stay in the area, and I can tell you that. So, yeah, thank you. Hey,
My one
Maureen.
sentence is, if we hope to attract another fine minister here, we need those pledges in.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that's very important.
I mean, we could always take all of our money out of our endowment as a way of opposing the decisions that the UUA is making in regards to you. This is just an act of civil disobedience.
I understand.
And,
yeah.
you know, I mean, I just don't, I'm losing faith in the UUA. In this whole decision process that you're describing. And so when I'm sitting here, I'm feeling like, who is representing us, and why are they representing us in the way that they are, and how can we affect that change, like Doug is speaking about? So that's, I mean, yes, I in some ways I was, hypotheorizing that we take all our money out. But that money is usable to be able to. And could we hire you again the year after next if you were to when you do get your what's it called? Your ordination and thing.
It could be possible. It's going to depend on what.
It
on
all
what it
sounds
looks
so,
like.
to me, wishy-washy. That
Some
the
of
whole
it is.
wishy-washiness doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
So,
and
but
some
anyway.
Some of it is, and some of it's because it's. I'm still in process, and so it just comes down to there just being some restrictions, and it does feel unfair. And I hear that you all want to have your preferences taken into consideration, and you should. And it's not, the UUA is complex. There's some really good things happening, and there's some really great things that it does, and it's also an institution, which means that it's slow moving, it's bureaucratic, and it's not always agile in the ways that it needs to be in terms of some of the changes that needs to happen. I'm fully supportive of having it. I think that there's some wonderful people in leadership. We have some wonderful resources, and it's complex. And especially for smaller congregations, it's difficult. It's very difficult. And I hear you 100%. I do. And some of it is just me not knowing what next year looks like, what's going to happen from here. So, absolutely, yeah. So, we'll see. I do have faith that that we'll get through it. We'll get through it. Yeah, and we're not done. We're not done. Merlin, I think, had his hand up.
Merlin?
Yeah.
Sorry. Hold on.
Yeah, let's get you a mic so online folks can hear you.
Okay. My question is, you say you're going to be here for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty vague for me. So I wondered if there is a place where you won't be here, and we know that.
I say that I hope to be here for a while. So I'm exploring some possibilities that would allow me to stay in the area. I don't have any updates, and I don't know what that looks like yet. It's in process and it's happening. Part of it is that I frankly don't want to go back to Texas. I love Texas, and it's my home, and I have my partners there, my family's there, we have a home there, and actually, Angela's right up here. Hi, Angela. And there are just some complex things going on there politically that make me feel very unsafe. And so I'm strategizing about what that looks like. And, so I don't know exactly what that looks like yet. Yeah. So I'm processing some of this and having to move and strategize kind of in real time to.
What Sunday will be your last Sunday?
Oh, I can answer that question.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. So June the 15th is the last Sunday that I'm scheduled. More than likely, I would come and be with you all an additional Sunday that month, whether I come and visit and we say goodbye. My contract officially ends on June the 30th, so I will be here through early summer with you all. So we have some time. We have some time. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. I wasn't understanding. I appreciate it. Thank you all for your heart. Thank you for your resilience. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. So let's extinguish our chalice and have some time together. We extinguish this flame, but the light remains in what we carry and what we are becoming. May you all be held. May your heart be steady. May your body be at ease. And may you know that you all are holy and sacred and deeply loved. Blessed be. All right. Let's do our closing circle. Thank you all. Thank you folks online, Marianne, Angela.